Hi, I'm Gia from Maribou K-12 Engaging Web Apps, and I'd like to introduce you to Typing Pal Online. When you have Typing Pal Online, you will notice that from your URL that you're in your school zone, or you will see something here where it says Maribou K-12. You will see something there denoting that that is your school's website. Note that as a teacher, you would log on to this particular place. I put in the username. I put in my password that was given to me by my school administrator, and I log in. I will come to this welcome page. Note that if you don't like the username password that your administrator gave you, you can always change your username and password. Note that our teaching guide is here. There's a PDF file. For those of you who've never taught keyboarding, I suggest that you take a quick minute to read through this because you will have some useful information therein. There are worksheets, a letter to parents, and a certificate of achievement that you can give to your students whenever they meet certain milestones. Our pedagogical approach is here, and also our Typing Pal user guide is here. That's for more of our technical information. The group section is where you will spend a lot of your time. This is where you will have a listing of all the grades or the groups at your school. Note, you can always add your own group. So if you had a class and you wanted to subdivide them, you can always go here and create a new group. Now, the first time you go into Typing Pal, you click on your particular group, you will have some general settings. I suggest that you change them. To change them, just scroll down and see where it says change this group setting. Click there and you can do that. Your group will have a name. So maybe it's your 5th grade class, it may say grade 5, but you can go and change that. If you want to give that name, that grade 5 a name, say they're your fast fingers, you can go ahead and call them your fast fingers. You see that that group has been assigned to you. If for some reason that's not your group, you can always go and assign those kids to someone else, to the rightful teacher. Note your speed target. This is your cumulative goal. That is your end goal. So, for example, by the end of 5th grade, you would like your 5th graders to be keying at 25 words per minute. You click that, you must apply it to existing students. If you don't do that, then the students can bounce around and do whatever they want. Please apply it to existing students. Your accuracy target, I would suggest nothing less than 90%. I personally like 95% because this will limit the errors your kids can make to 7 to 10 errors. What we really want to stress is accuracy over speed. Let them slow down because slow and steady wins the race. So, and once you click that at 95% accuracy, apply that to existing students. Your grading, we have a grading feature that you can click to enable or unclick to not enable it. This is how this section works. You have your grading system, and if I want my 5th graders to be keying at 25 words per minute, so my grading system will be, if they get 25 words per minute, that's an A. If they make 20 words a minute, then that's a B. Let's say 15 words a minute, that's a C, or whatever. Whatever your school system uses, you grade accordingly. Now, suppose for your little ones, you do not want to use A's, B's, C's, and D's. You can actually go and change that from an A to let's put excellent. For 25%, that is, or good, let's go good. For B, and that is factory. For a C. You can go and do that along the way, complete it all the way there, and you, then anyway, we'll get to saving that later on. Just you can complete that or you can leave it as I did, just there, and then those other files will be non-active. I can actually even delete those. No ease. Okay, for activity sequence. I would suggest doing the activities in the set order because we know that the computer, we will dictate how the kids will meet the characters. We start off with the home row. However, we keep Typing Pal flexible, so if you wanted to guide your kids with doing the activities, you can have the kids do it in a set order. Note, however, if you do not guide them, your kids may move on to the, let's say, the asterisk before they've even done the letter J. So this is why I suggest you have them do it in the set order, and we will watch what they do. Note in Typing Pal, you can have your kids see one of the animations, the cartoon animations at the bottom of their screen, or if you want to focus on correct fingering and correct finger positioning, you can have them see the keyboard. You decide on the maturity level of your kids and what is it that they need to do. By 3rd and 4th grade, I would really suggest having them see the correct fingering. So if they were to make an error, we model for them how to correct that error, and then they can move on. In Typing Pal, we have 4 environments. Note, however, the classic environment has been here for over 13 years, and there's some of our people who love still using this environment. Since then, though, we've developed 3 additional environments where that appeal to certain groups. So for your K-5 kids, we have them in SuperPause. The TGIF is for the middle school students, and the Office is for the high school students. Note that we don't stop you from putting the children in any environment. That is up to you. So you may have a very mature 5th grade class, so you can actually put your 5th graders in the TGIF environment. Or you may have some high school kids that really function at a lower school environment. So you can either put them in the TGIF or the SuperPause environment. The pedagogy stays the same, but the interface changes to match that student's maturity level. Note that in the memo section, if there is a message you want your kids to see once they enter Typing Pal, you can write that memo here. I have pay attention to your fingering, keep your eyes on the screen. Once I've done that, I click Save Settings. Once you save the settings, when you go here, it will automatically pop up to what you have. Notice I didn't save my settings, hence it went back to what I had before. That's my general setting. I can click on Students, and I have the students who are in my class. If a new student comes to my school, I don't have to wait for the tech person to do that. I can actually go in and add my new student, myself. I give the student a username, a password. I type in that password again. I put the student's first and last name in. You do not have to put in the student's email address. You can leave that blank. And notice the words per minute and accuracy levels from that particular group automatically is filled in. I can click Save the Settings. Once I save the settings, that new student will pop up in this environment. I may notice that there's a student, like let's say Mary Lee. She's in this class, but she's not in my class. She actually belongs to the Bulldogs group. I can click her and move her to the Bulldog section. Note, if I wanted to see all of my students' usernames and passwords, I can click all of them. I can export that information to an Excel spreadsheet or a CSV file, and I can have that information somewhere. I tell you to please use this feature judiciously because we don't like leaving students' usernames and passwords around where they can be stolen. Note another way that if you wanted to access your student's information, or if your student came to the class and you didn't have and forgot his or her username and password, you can click on that student's name. You can say, okay, from now on, your password is puppy. I go in and I type puppy. I correct that. I retype it, and then I click Save. From then on, that student Alex's password has become puppy. Alex can now log on and use Typing Pal online without issue. Let's say David is my special needs student. David only has, say, 2 fingers. So I can instead of giving him the group's goal, I can tell him that he now has to type 12 words per minute, and I can give him 92% accuracy. I save my settings, and this is how you can do this. For your really fast students, the students who need some help, you can customize the instruction for that particular student. The interface looks exactly the same as all the other students. So you don't have to worry about this student feeling like he or she is incapable or better than the others, because the interface looks the same, but each child will be working towards their own set goals. We do have delete buttons and a reset button. Use that only if you must. If you click the delete button and you lose all of your students, I'm sorry, we cannot help you. The reset button is used only when you want to erase all of the students' statistical information and you want them to start from scratch. Again, if you click that button, you will lose all of the data. The children will be expected to start from the beginning of Typing Pal Online. So use those buttons really wisely. The exercises in Typing Pal Online. We teach 2 letters or 2 characters at a time. You can clear all of them, and if you only want your children to do JF at once, and if they're successful or not, they can't move on, you then will have to log in every now and then to add a particular exercise for the children to be exposed to. However, I suggest that you click all so that as the children can work at their own pace. So they do JF successfully, they then move on. So remember, you may have set 25 words per minute for your 5th graders. So that is by the time they do this particular activity at the bottom of step 8, once they've done step 8.20, they will be expected to be keying at that 25 words per minute. But this first exercise will be possibly at, say, 3 words per minute, because we're teaching at the instructional level. If they've not done keyboarding, then we want them to start from scratch. Note there is an initial test. Once the child first enters Typing Pal Online, they're going to be asked to do an initial test. If they skip that test, you won't have any data to show what was that child's baseline. Where was he or she keying when she first entered Typing Pal Online? It's good to have that information, because if you know where the child has started, so your 5th grader, you may have one typing at 20 words per minute or 23 words per minute. So 25 words per minute may not be a SMART goal for that student. So you can go in under students and change that particular student's words per minute goal, so that that student can have a smarter goal to which he or she must work towards. Okay, so with JF, you've learned those 2 characters. We give you an accuracy and speed target to meet. If you're successful, we then highlight the next activity so you can move on. Note that after they've learned 8 characters, they're given a test. This is your formative assessment. You can build on all of these. Note they've done, like in test 6, where you've learned these characters during this particular time. Test 6 will test everything that has gone on before. So note, they're always working towards mastery of other skills, whereas this one will just be at the instructional level. So we're really working to let your kids be successful as they go through Typing Pal. Note this final test. I suggest you do not have that clicked, because if you have that final step clicked, the child will have access to the final test all the time. The final test and the initial test are the exact same test. So please, again, do not have this ticked unless you want the child to do the final test. After they've done the test, then you unclick it so that they do not have access to that test again. Once you've done what you had to do, you click Save to save your settings. Note that we have there are 55 activities or lessons in Typing Pal, but that grows exponentially because the child can do JF 100 times and will never have the same sequence of letters all the time. So they can click on the activities and do them, but they will not be having repeat performances. We have 80 supplementary activities in the Move On section or this practice text collection. These, again, are supplementary. We expect them to spend, the students to spend most of their time in the exercises section. You can always add to this section, that practice text collection, by creating your own text. You have, you can put in your school song, your spelling words, Bible verses, whatever you want. You can augment Typing Pal's curriculum with your own. If you need more information on that, you can contact Linda, Marie, or myself, and we'll be happy to help you. So I'm going to go back to my group. I'm going to go back to my elementary group, and I'm now going to click on my statistics section. The statistics section is really great because you have so much information at your disposal. There's a bird's eye view that will show the last thing the student has done. It gives you how many activities the child has completed, how long they took to do those activities. It gives you the average accuracy for the activity that child did. It compares that child to the group scores. It does the same thing in terms of speed. It gives you the student speed and then compares that to the group scores. And then finally, if you have that grading feature enabled, we will tell you what the child has got. Again, that's the general overview. But note, I can always click on a student's name and I can have a drill down version of what that student has done once he or she is in Typing Pal. I see that, for example, there's a worm in this apple. That knows, once I know the legend, I know that a worm in an apple tells me that the student has tried the activity but was not successful. Hence, he cannot move on until he's corrected this particular activity. I see from here that he tried this JF. He did this at 12:20 p.m. And this timestamp at the bottom here is really important because if you give homework and you want to see if your child did that in the evening or not, you can look at your timestamp. It has a date stamp as well. If your duration tells you how long a child took to do the activity, how many characters that child did, that is how many characters was in that particular exercise, the error count, how many errors that child made. It will then give you an accuracy and a speed report in terms of how that child did in comparison with the others in that group. You can see at a bird's eye view again how that child is doing compared to others in these exercises. Note there's an envelope, that's your practice test. When there's an eaten apple, it means that the child was successful with that activity. And again, that wormy apple means that he tried the activity but was unsuccessful. The basket that's empty means that that child has done a test. For all of the tests, we give the children no speed, no accuracy goals. We want them just to type at leisure. So once they do that, you can really see where that child is keyboarding. So if I wanted to go back to statistics, that was just this information for one particular student. Note that I have my date and time stamps, my date stamps. If I only wanted to see data from, say, a week ago, I can put my date to start at one particular date and end at a certain date and just run a report. Note here that I can run a report for all my students, or I can select certain students for whom I want to see a full report. Notice that I can have a report based on all the children's scores, the highest score, or the most recent score. I can see scores based on all of the exercises. If I don't want to see all, I can click off the ones that I don't want. I can see for tests. So if I only want to do an initial, see the results for the initial and final test to do a comparison of those children, I can just highlight those two and run a report. And also the practice test. If I wanted to see how they've done on the practice test, I can do that as well. I can apply that and then export that information to a CSV file or an Excel spreadsheet. So again, thank you so much for listening to me. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to call Linda, Marie or myself, Gia, and again, we'll be most happy to help you. And I just wish you a wonderful day. Bye-bye.